So we're here on this beautiful Friday, bowl season in full action, and PG joins me today as we discuss the Oklahoma Sooners taking a tough loss yesterday to Arizona. PG, before we get into this, you already know, man. Let the people know where they can find all of your great content.
Yeah, y'all can find me here on YouTube, Google, Apple, or Spotify. Just the PG Show. Listen, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys that are watching this stream or watching this video, you guys have watched my content. So just jump on over there. We're going to be bringing you guys lots of off-season content, whether it's recruiting or even just predicting what next season is going to be like. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and listen, I always start off my videos asking a question for the audience, and that's exactly what we're going to do now. And it's the same question that so many of you clicked on this video for. Should the Oklahoma Sooners panic after the loss to Arizona? PG, I open the floor to you, but I'm going to answer very briefly before. To me, the answer is no. Now, can we get into nuanced conversations about things that need to improve? Sure, but that's the case for 99.9% of college football. I think people need to understand Oklahoma was dealing with a patchwork offensive line, brand new quarterback, brand new offensive coordinator. There were some real conversations we need to have. But once again, harkening back to the question, PG, I don't think OU fans should panic, but you look on Twitter, it looks like the sky is falling. Should OU fans feel that way?
I understand why they feel that way, but they shouldn't feel that way. My favorite meme in this moment is the meme of Chicken Little running
Yeah.
around the town saying the sky is falling, because that's how Oklahoma fans have felt the past month. It's been absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and for those of you wondering why I'm looking here and then here, cameras here, laptops there. But I'm going to tell you the chief complaints I saw, PG, and then I want you to get into it. The one I see that still makes no sense to me is people saying and questioning Bill Bedenbaugh and kind of even going as far as to saying, should he be here? Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that was a patchwork offensive line. It's not easy to put together a brand new offensive line in a month. I understand you have a month of preparation, but PG, how many times have you heard me? How many times have you and I had this conversation? Offensive line takes a long time to gel. That's why it's so important to get those spring reps and fall reps. We're not talking a month. We're talking multiple months. Now, I find the takes on Bill Bedenbaugh to be a bit facetious. Sure, if you want to say, man, I would have loved to have had more offensive line depth, that's all fair. But one take I saw was saying how Caden Green's departure was a fireable offense for Bill Bedenbaugh. And I understand Oklahoma fans, that's a big loss. But ladies and gentlemen, the transfer portal giveth, the transfer portal taketh. That wasn't on Bill Bedenbaugh. PG, fair or unfair, that's my take right there.
No, I mean, it's a fair take. And Bill Bedenbaugh losing Caden Green is not a fireable offense. I don't
No,
care what argument you bring. It wasn't Bill Bedenbaugh's fault that we lost Caden Green. Like, in fact, it's more, you want to know why we lost Caden Green? It's operational. That's the reason why we lost Caden Green. It was an operational mishap due to coaching changes, staff changes, however you want to lay it out. Caden Green and the family felt like it was best for them to move on. And, if Missouri got good, did Oklahoma fans not expect Missouri to come after all of their Lee Summit kids that would have been here at Oklahoma? I mean, because just like BV wants to lock up the state of Oklahoma in recruiting, I'm pretty sure Drink wants to do the same thing in Missouri because they pushing out some good talent. So it's not a fireable offense, but this is why I've said, hey, like if you get an opportunity to get Gino Vandemark out of the portal, which he ended up staying at Michigan State, it was important to bring him in because you're now replacing 5 starters on that offensive line going into next year, and you need to develop that chemistry. And if you can put Spencer Brown and Gino Vandemark out there who played together, and then you have Joshua Bates or Troy Everett with Jacob Sexton who have played together, right? Now, all of a sudden, you have chemistry on that offensive line, and it's a lot easier to plug and play 2 pieces than it is to plug and play pretty much essentially what I think they'd be replacing 3 new guys that have never played on this team before.
No, that's a great point. If you could get that continuity with the relationship, I completely agree with you, PG. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're coming here and saying, oh, are you saying the Oklahoma offensive line wasn't without fault? No, 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 no. We talked about this in the green room. There were plays we can talk about. The three-man rush that Arizona had twice, the fact that they were able to get pressure and as quickly as they were. I know one of them was a stunt and the center just didn't pick it up, but the other one, they were able to move the pocket for Jackson Arnold. That's stuff you need to get cleaned up. But at the end of the day, PG, you were able to get over 500 yards of offense. So it's not like the offensive line completely hindered the offense. And Jackson Arnold, let's talk about him for a second, because we saw a lot of good. We also saw some young mistakes. And ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have young mistakes. I texted this to Jay last night as we were going back and forth before I passed out on the bed. East Coast is an hour ahead. And so, yeah, I woke up this morning on the couch watching that OU game and had to go back and rewatch it. I text Jay that some lumps are good. Jay and I have had this conversation extensively about Caleb Downs, for instance. PG, you and I have had this conversation. Whenever Caleb Downs in Alabama played Texas, Steve Sarkisian picked on the young guy because he was young. He had young mistakes, but that's how you learn. There was a lot I saw from Jackson Arnold that I liked. PG, one of the things I saw, and yes, we'll talk about the interceptions, his pocket poise. The fact that some of those times they were able to get pressure, he didn't panic as much as I thought some young quarterbacks would. He has a big arm, but talk to me about how you're feeling about Jackson Arnold moving forward.
Dude, I love it. Like, did you see him throw those 2 picks and then the composure that he came out after throwing
short memory
interceptions?
Yep.
And it was like, oh yeah, I got this, right? And props to the offensive coordinators and Seth Luttrell and Joe John Finley for saying, you know what? We're going to continue to be aggressive. We're going to continue to throw this guy into the fire, because that's really all you can do in that instance. You really don't have another quarterback to turn to. And why would you quit on your guy that quickly, right? Yeah. You know, I guess some Oklahoma fans would want to quit on their guy that quickly. But no, I one of the things that I loved about Jackson Arnold in that game is you got to see the mobility of being able to use his feet. And I think a lot of people see, what is he, like 6'3", 6'4"?
6'2", 6'3". He's a solid dude.
Yeah, like you see the height, and I don't think he strikes you as a guy that's going to be able to use his feet and move down the field. But we saw that multiple times yesterday. And in fact, you saw him utilize his feet for a big gain. So, yeah, like you saw a lot of good, you saw a lot of bad. And honestly, I think it's really good that you got it now instead of later on down the road next season.
This is exactly what I mean, PG. Some lumps are necessary. Sometimes whenever you're thrown into the fire, you grow. And one of the things that I did like a lot, yes, some of those interceptions, the 1-2 stoops on that wheel route, it's got to come out quicker. And then some of the other ones, it was just characteristic of a young quarterback where you're focused in on your first read because the game moves so much faster. But this is a guy that's played and had successful sequences before this Arizona game. So people wanting to kind of throw him out of the fire is completely facetious to me. This is a guy that you need to put your faith in. He's going to be very talented. Interceptions, they happen, but he had a short memory. And if you're a quarterback, that's what you want to see. He continued to press forward. Now, PG, lot to talk about with the offense, right? But let's talk about the defense for a second, because y'all's pass rush was able to really get home. Talk to me about the pass rush for Oklahoma, because that was a major bright side for the Sooners in a losing effort.
Yeah, I mean, it was 11 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, and where the hell did Marcus Stripling come from? Did you see him? I think he only had 1 tackle for loss and 1 sack, but did you see him in the backfield like numerous times, almost getting to Fafita? I mean, I was like, where did this dude come from? He came out of the
Fafita's got great pocket presence. Like, he's got some little moves that will send you around. So, yeah, y'all were able to really get after him.
Yeah, so no, I really liked what we saw from the defensive line. I even tweeted at Travis Davidson. I was like, is this an R. Mason Thomas coming out party? Because R. Mason Thomas was getting in the backfield. It looked like he was healthy, right? You know, causing havoc back there. And I think that's what Oklahoma fans have wanted to see out of a guy like that. So you're returning DeJoun Terry, Jacob Lacey, PJ Adebayor, R. Mason Thomas. Marcus Stripling actually announced this morning that, you know, he's declaring for the draft, so you're not going to be getting him back. But overall, I mean, shoot, this defensive line going into next year with what you're getting out of the transfer portal and what you're going to be getting on the recruiting trail, hey, Oklahoma might have one of the better defensive lines they've had in the past 10, 15 years.
Yeah, no doubt. And ladies and gentlemen, understand this. I'm not saying that it was a perfect effort yesterday or that there aren't things we can talk about. I'm looking at this as a top down question. Should Oklahoma fans panic? I don't think the answer is, I don't see how the answer could be yes, Oklahoma fans should panic. PG, what was y'all's record last year?
6-7.
What was your record this year?
10-3.
That's improvement.
Yeah.
That is a marketed improvement before you go to the SEC. But understand, I will meet you halfway if you are saying, I'm a little worried. Things need to be fixed. The offensive line, that's got to come together. Very encouraging to see from the defensive line. PG, there was a guy, though, on that defense that stood out to me when he came in. It's someone I've told you about for a while. Kip Lewis. Man, are they going to have a hard time keeping him off the field because he makes plays when he gets in there. He's got a want-to that you just can't teach. And I love that in this defense. What'd you think about Kip Lewis? What'd you think about the defense as a whole? We talked about that defensive front.
No, I think that defense played very well. Again, for especially as many snaps as they had to play. I think 6 turnovers, your defense is going to be out there a lot, right? But if you didn't have the 6 turnovers, your defense might have played better because Oklahoma would have won the time at the possession, which is something we have not seen, where you're able to move the ball down the field, control time of possession, and give your defense long breaks. And that's something that they were able to do. Just unfortunately, of 6 turnovers, that puts you in the same situation that we've been in for the past previous years. But no, I thought the defense played really well. You saw really good things out of Robert Spears-Jennings. Like, I think a lot of people are undervaluing. Did you see him get into the backfield at one point? Like, Robert Spears-Jennings was flying all over the place. Kip Lewis, obviously, he had the most tackles. He had a sack. He had 2 tackles for loss. And he's going to be a starting linebacker next year. And I know this is off topic, but it really opens up the question for me, almost wondering, do we lose a linebacker in the portal after the performance from what we saw last night? Danny Stutzman, we obviously know, is going to be slated as a starter. You've got Sam McCullough in there. You've got Justin Harrington, who we assume is coming back. Kendall Dolby. Those guys will all be cheetahs. Plus, you got some of the guys coming in. Sammy Omosigo. Does Kobe McKenzie hit the portal? Because
I don't think so.
I don't think he has a chance of starting here at Oklahoma right now. Like, Kip Lewis and Danny Stutzman, I feel like, have it on lockdown. And then you go into outside of Danny Stutzman era, Lewis Carter, Sammy Omosigo. Like, I'm starting to almost wonder, are we going to see the transfer portal take it from us in that area? And then another guy that I was really, really impressed with last night was, again, our Mason Thomas. I think a lot of people needed to see that out of him because we've talked about him so much. And our Mason Thomas last night was in the backfield causing just absolute havoc with that quarterback.
Yeah, and as we kind of wind this down, my last question, were you surprised that Oklahoma didn't stick with the running game more despite the success they had there? Because that was one thing, and I get it. You want to get Jackson Arnold as many reps as he can. No argument here. But, dude, Sawchuk continues to show what a valuable asset he's going to be in this offense. He has got a lot of ability. They were running the ball really well. Did that surprise you going away from the run in some of those instances?
No, because Sawchuk got hurt in the game. And Javante Barnes is still hurt. Tawi Walker, it's just, he's great in short yardage situations, but he's just not fast enough to get down the field. So I think you were kind of inhibited. I thought we were going to see Caleb Hicks in this game because in the bowl games, correct me if I'm wrong, red shirts are not affected by bowl games.
I actually don't know that, to be honest with you. I need to look into that. I don't know that.
I don't think red shirts are affected by bowl games. So I think you can play those young guys outside of their 4 games in the bowl games and then not be affected. So I thought we were going to see Caleb Hicks, but I was not surprised once Gavin Sawchuk got hurt. You could definitely tell he was out there struggling. So they were going to move away from that, which is what I think hurt Jackson Arnold towards the end of the game, right? In that fourth quarter, we saw him doing really well in the second and third, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like, oh, they're struggling again because Arizona made us a one-dimensional team, which means they were able to really focus and hone in on Jackson Arnold and make him make mistakes.
Yeah, true. And so as we wind this down, once again, ladies and gentlemen, should OU panic? The answer to me is no. That's not to say that things don't need to improve. That's not to say that there aren't things from this game that they will take to the drawing board and say that can't happen again. There are, but I don't think it calls for a full-blown panic. The season overall was an amazing success considering where you came from to where you are now. You have another great recruiting class coming in. Brent Venables and company are working the portal again. I don't think it's time to panic at all for Oklahoma fans. I think that there are things that need to be improved upon, but overall, you like the direction you're going in. The defense, for the most part, did pretty well, but PG, it's going to be impossible to win college football games against a good opponent, which Arizona was, when you have 6 turnovers. Like, that's just not going to happen in college football against a good opponent. And still, this was a close game until the fourth quarter, until it started to get away. So final words?
Final words is these are both going to be potential playoff teams next year. I mean, if Oklahoma and Arizona get a chance to match up next year, it's going to be really fun. You're moving into 12 teams, and I legitimately thought there's 6 teams that could win the national championship this year. Arizona would have been one of those teams that would have pushed somebody around. They wouldn't have won it, but they would have pushed somebody around in the playoffs and, hey, gave them more trouble than they would have liked. So I'm excited for next year. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Can't wait, man. Can't wait. Well, thank you for joining me today. I already know you're going to be releasing something as well. So everybody, after you watch this or before you watch this, I don't know the order where these are going to be released, be sure to check out PG's take as he goes through probably much more in-depth we did today. This was just a rapid reaction. PG, man, thanks as always. One more time, where can the people find your stuff?
YouTube, Apple, Google, Spotify, the PG Show, all one word. You don't need to put any spaces, don't need to underscore anything, just the PG Show. Talk about OU content this offseason. We're going to start dabbling into other teams, doing a little bit of other stuff, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So,
love it. Love it. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you thought. Let me know, do you think Oklahoma should panic? And that's about it. We'll see you next time. See ya.